Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. Got a busy show again today. The volatility is continuing overseas, so we're basically going to lead with that and sort of talk through where it leaves us in the in our markets today with yesterday's action sort of in the books and how we're going to approach today's session based on the overnight weakness. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the hurricane trade maybe back on. There's another hurricane that's sneaking up on us. Michael is in the Gulf right now, so maybe some hurricane stocks will be back in focus. We have a couple of stocks or companies potentially looking for a seller, maybe taking off the board. Papa John's and CBS. A couple companies reported weak guidance yesterday after the close, PPG and BLKB. And we had some interesting ratings to discuss today as well. Tesla, Mylan Labs, and Deutsche Bank with a pair trade on the grocery stocks. So we'll talk all that and more. Our guest today will be a new guest, Danielle Shay Gum. She will join us at 8:35. She is the Director of Options Trading at Simpler Trading. And looking forward to talking to her at 8:35. So, Joel, in the meantime, what is the word in the S&Ps?
We got some big red on the screen, down 17 and a half handles. Had to double close right at 28.94. 94 and a quarter is your high, and they just started selling and keep on selling. Our pre-market low is 28.74.50. Big number on the downside. Yesterday's low, 29.66. That's 10 handles away. Things open up 28.60 level here. So some good numbers in the S&Ps. You have crude trading up 44 cents here at 74.73. Backed off a little bit off the high of the move. The high of the move is double top at 70. Not a double top. 76.90 represents the high of the move. Gold up $1.50 at 11.90.10. Gold cannot catch a sustained bid. Silver up less than a penny at 14.33. And Bitcoin here, I gotta look at the numbers here. Bitcoin just dying a slow death here. Couple $100 ranges. It's basically flat on the session. Dennis, this is another big down opening here, and
yeah,
man, a lot of red. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, it's one of those. I'm in a slump here, 2-day slump. I actually started rolling again here a week and a half ago, and it's funny how you can go for a bet and then you can get in a slump, and you just gotta figure out. It's a little bit of bad luck here going because I got a couple stocks that got downgraded, and you're along them, and you know how I do my overnight hedging, and I was hedged maybe not as good as I could be because you're seeing the overseas markets get absolutely annihilated here, and we are, down 0.4%. So we're down, but I mean, really, when you put it in perspective, the U.S. markets have been unbelievably resilient. If you start looking, really breaking down the action overall, you were saying, Joel, since January 1st, China's down 26%. So, and you look at the European markets, and they are just killed. And you look at basically every other market, and they're down significantly. And here's the U.S. markets, the S&P 500, down 2.6% only. So it's unbelievable how resilient the U.S. markets have been. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. I look here and you say, oh, wow, it's a rough day for the markets. But really, when you look at the U.S. markets, this hasn't even done anything, really remotely close to what we've seen happen overseas.
Japan is doing okay. Japan just made.
What are they doing this year?
Let's see here on the monthly. Well, they're down for the year. Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the EWJ.
What are we? We're still up for the year though? What are we up this year?
Let me go to.
Check this out.
Yeah, let's see here.
Just doing the math on the fly here, guys. So bear with us.
We're not up that much. Let me see here. We ended the year, not too bad. We ended the year in the cash index at 20, let's call it 2690. And let's call the cash right now 2882. So 2882 minus, can't do this one in my head. Boom.
Come on, use those great
No,
math skills here. You got this.
we're still up 7%. We're still up
Yeah.
7% for the year. But I mean,
And that's unbelievable considering, when you talk about China being down 26
Yep.
and we're up 7, you got a 33% divergence there. It's crazy how resilient we've really been. The Canadian markets haven't, like when you look at Canadian markets, and obviously we're neighbors here, in the last 5 years, Canada is up almost nothing. And you've got the U.S. markets that have, over doubled.
how long
So
can
in
that
the last 5 years,
persist?
even, talking about almost tripling. So it's unreal how, the U.S. markets, if you haven't been exposed, if you're a world investor and you haven't had U.S. exposure, you've done really bad. If you're a U.S. investor and you've had mostly exposure to other countries, you've done really bad too. Best place to be has been in the U.S. And I don't know, I guess it continues to be because even when we have a bad day, it seems to be nothing compared to China. Here's FXI, and it's only down 0.71%. But, you look at Alibaba. Baba seems to fall $3-4 every single day. It's down here again another $3. I had it on for a swing trade. I kept a little piece for a long-term investment. Wish I would not have done that because now I'm significantly down in that piece. I bought 161, sold a bunch at 166 and 167, kept on just a small piece. I was like, we'll stick with this for because I need a little more China exposure. Man, every time you put a little bit of exposure to overseas markets, it punches you in the face.
How long
this
can
has
it
just
persist?
been really bad overseas.
How long could this persist where our markets hold up?
The trends can persist a long, long time. So I don't know. And it's persisted, and maybe it's Trump. Maybe because he's battled, the US to better positioning everywhere. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know why. And obviously in the markets, you can give a plethora of reasons why this stuff has happened, trade wars, whatever. But the evidence is there. The US markets have been unbelievably resilient. That being said, we are seeing some significant sell-off now in higher risk stuff. Square yesterday, holy cow, Joel. I mean, we called it here on the top. It looked like it was topping when it put the little triple top in there, just over $100. I wish, I know you played it. I wish I would have played it better. I played it a couple times from a day trading perspective, but it fell $12 at one time yesterday. You still holding those puts?
I am. I spread it out a little bit yesterday. Well, you got the news yesterday that Goldman upped its price target yesterday. So I was like, oh man, I'm battling Goldman today. And then later in the day, Luke was working on the desk and Jack Dorsey sold some stock on Friday. It was an SEC filing, but the Brentster digged into that more, and he said it was a scheduled sale. These guys own so much stock, and every 3 months or whatever, they get rid of it. So I know I really followed you on this one, Dennis, because you were really pounding the table on this, and I
didn't put it on. It's
it's volatile,
kind of gets you
man.
when you really have a good call and you don't put it on. It's like,
Well, the thing goes down to 91 and it goes back up to 96 on you. And you're scratching your head. You're saying, oh my God, why didn't they? I mean, and it's staying too. I mean, this thing moves around. Continued down moving today in Square. Sometimes when you just look at a chart, when you just looked at
here again right now.
If you took your hand off you covered up the last 3 days, and this one I was looking at it, to me, this stock had to do some work in the 80s. You went from what? You had that low of 81.53, then you rocketed to 100 and 5 sessions with all these price target raises. And I look at that and I'm like, man, this thing should trade in the 80. It should just trade. It's just a healthy move for it. So keeping an eye on yesterday's low if you're a Square trader. That's we're through that 83.55. So you are opening.
Just trade down to 83.08 there, which I don't know what happened there, but somebody just sold a whole pile there right when we were talking. Anyways, it's down significantly. It's down 3% again. The market's only down 0.3%. The Qs are only down 0.3%. Square's down 3%. It's down 10 times more than the market today. Yeah. It's crazy.
Look what this thing did. I mean,
it's gonna bounce here eventually. It's gonna have a bounce.
Okay, eventually. But we got some other movers here. We got some ratings going on. No earnings. Friday's the big day for earnings with the bank stocks coming out. But gosh, if it wasn't for GE, this market would really be in the tank, right, Dennis?
If you're leaning on GE for help, I mean, GE has been good. And the value trade, we've been talking about it. The value trade was on yesterday. I actually had a really horrible pre-market. I had a good open because you want to know why? I bought stocks like Kraft Heinz on the open. I bought stocks like Procter and Gamble on the open. I bought stocks like Coca-Cola on the open. All those things opened at the lows and went straight up. So those helped a lot because I was significantly red yesterday, just one of those days where I had a few stocks on and I got killed in other stuff. But I tell you, the food stocks and the defensive stocks we talked about them yesterday, those are back in favor right now. This market is in full on defense.
I looked at the ConAgra yesterday. I know we talked about this. They got an upgrade from somebody and it gapped up. I was hoping it would come down and fill the gap, but that opened up higher, opened right near the low of the session. 34 open, 33.86 low, traded up to 34.74. Giving it back today. I don't know if that's an odd lot to trade it.
It's actually got downgraded today.
Really?
Yeah. Then you know what? And that's an opportunity. When you get these food stocks pulling back on these downgrades. Who downgrades, Spence? I saw it.
I'm looking right now. They caught an upgrade yesterday. It's
pretty sure it got downgrade.
They had an offering. I don't see a rating, but
let me go look. I saw it go by my timeline. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm wrong. I'm getting my days wrong. Can anybody else verify?
I see.
Yeah. Oh no, it's an offering. That's what it was.
Thank you, Spencer.
Yeah. Offering. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. 500.
I knew there was something going. I knew there was something negative news there. It's an offering.
Okay, 575 million.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yep, that will do it.
They don't like secondaries. Anyways,
I might buy that secondary. I might buy the whole thing. Look at that.
I might buy the whole thing. You know what? The food stock's back in favor. I think it's an opportunity too. So I think I'm a buyer of ConAgra on the pullback.
Okay. All right. We're
on the same side on there, Joe. What do you think of like the defense playing but the one issue is with playing some of these defensive stocks, and some of them run a little bit here now. So not huge, but we know, the utilities, for instance, have had a pretty good 3-4 day run despite the TLT. And that is the whole reason for that is just the market's playing defense more than it is worried about rates here right now. But really, when you think of the underlying risk here, rates going higher is not good for the XLU. You see the XLU straight up in the last couple of days from 52 to 54.5. I feel like you're buying it now. I feel like now you're late to the party.
T and Verizon are giving some back today.
Ex-dividend.
I was just going to ask you that.
AT&T is actually trading up here right now. So AT&T paid a dividend. Close is 34.11. Adjusted close 33.61. It's actually flat right now. Verizon adjusted close is 54.41.75, 54.41 bid. So they're actually trading flat here right now.
Dennis,
they're resilient.
I know I ask you this every time, but we got some new listeners here. We got someone in the chat here from Russia, and I want to say hello over there. But explain the adjusted closing price because it's a very important.
We just knock off the dividend. So when a stock goes ex-dividend, it means the person. So if you bought the stock yesterday, you're entitled to the dividend. After midnight, now that you're not entitled to the dividend anymore because the record date is going to and the X date was today. So now it's trading without the dividend. So the stock price will adjust. The exchanges adjust the price to take out the dividend because you're no longer getting that dividend. So that's what the adjusted price is. But there's players and there's strategies all around it. I play it as well. Typically, these things sometimes don't open down as much as the dividend is. And there's dividend capture strategies. There's run-ups ahead of the dividends. There's lots of different ways to play these things. But typically, they show strength ahead of the ex-dividend date and weakness after. So that's, one consideration here. If you are trading AT&T and Verizon, be aware that they are ex-dividend here today.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to some of these other movers. Ooh, Square on the low of this back at 83.06. Dennis, did someone continue? Is there a?
They just hate it. They hate it right now, and I just you're down 20 points here in 3 days now. So I mean, at a certain point in time, it's probably gonna 5 days. At a certain point in time, you got to think there's gonna be a bounce, but right now they hate Roku stuff like that. You can go to anything higher beta. They hate that stuff right now. So every time you come in, anything that's got a higher beta, they're selling it. Eventually it will turn. But again, if you're trying to call the bottom of these things, it's difficult to do. Trend is broken. Trend's not your friend all of a sudden on these stocks. I'm trying to trade here too, so you guys got to take the lead here because I've got 55 positions on overnight. So I'm trading and doing a radio show. Makes it difficult here. So if I stop talking mid-sentence, it's probably because I'm getting executions.
Griffin 11 is mentioning ADM, Archer Dan. Let's just run through 4 or 5 food stocks here. Well, our ADM, boy, that maybe it's not a food stock. Look at the chart on that one. That's approaching an all-time high. Boom, the all-time high in that is 53.91. Let's take a look at our Battle Creek, Michigan company, Kellogg. Kellogg is just coming off a bottom here. Spike low 66.74. That's your 3-day low. That matched your August low at 66.79. If you're looking for some resistance at Kellogg's here, you got a double top at 71.17, 71.19. And what's some of our other foods? Campbell's soup. Looking at that, that broke out.
They all showed life yesterday.
They did.
They all showed life. Campbell still has we don't know if it's in play or not. There's been rumors around there. So just keep that in mind. If somebody ever said, they're not for sale, I think they kind of did that already, but just keep that in mind. There's obviously rumors circulating around that. But, the General Mills, the Mondelez, Kraft Heinz, all the defensive stocks caught a little bit of life there yesterday. Whether that continues or not depends on the overall market. We start to turn, they'll start to go the other way. Let's move to Tesla. Let's talk Tesla here, Spencer. There's an analyst defending this here this morning. Stock is getting a huge rating price target raise here. Give us the details.
Yeah. Let me pull up in my pro here because I had it, but I didn't write it down. So give me 1 second on the Tesla because I saw it. It was Macquarie. They initiated coverage on Tesla at Outperform, and they gave a $430 price target.
The 430. Wow. So that's more than what the takeout price was going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm surprised they didn't go 420. Anyways, $3, it would have been funny. $3.43 is trading up here in the pre-market. It got a bigger lift last night. The market's weighing on it a little bit here. I don't know what to say. I mean, could this, get a relief pop from it? Sure. Could we see this thing, it just fell 50 points here in 4 days. So you got an analyst coming out defending it. It's good for the stock. I'd be scared to be shorted it as a day trade here. I don't know if I'm coming in fading. If it gets, ridiculous and start to pop up over 260, then maybe you reanalyze. But I think that's, it's giving it some confidence. You got an analyst coming out with a big price target here. I'm not surprised it's trading up $4. I'm actually surprised not trade up more.
I think this is a big day for Tesla. I mean,
think it's going to go up?
It better go up because
it better go. That's a good point. It better go up on this.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't, that's like, it can't go up when an analyst coming out, and Macquarie is pretty influential too. So great point. If it doesn't go up on this, that's problems.
Let's see. You've had 5 lower closes. You've had 4 lower highs and 4 lower lows in a row. And that's a trend that might be hard to be broken here. 52.25 was the former low of the move. Got the nice bounce up to 315 on that. We made a low at 49 even yesterday, and we're getting a bounce. So, I mean, it's 250. There's your line in the sand. After that's been like the monthly support. Under that, folks, I don't see anything until your March 2017 low at 242.78. So keeping a big eye here on Tesla at 240. Trading up, let's see what the pre-market high is. They can't even, we're trading up 54.50 and your pre-market high is 55.64. You want to see follow through on that.
Also in the news here, PZZA. We've talked about this one multiple times. It's been in play here for a while. We got a WSJ rumor that there might be a bid coming together here. Spencer, what's the details on Papa John's?
I mean, that is the details right there. This was reported after the bell yesterday that Treon, which is Nelson Palace, right, is in the early stages of potentially evaluating a bid to take Papa John's off the board. They're maybe working with Papa John himself on that one. So PZZA maybe going the way of the way we've seen these food stocks go recently. Panera, Buffalo Wild Wings, Sonic. So,
It's surprising that some of the stocks are in such a gutter, considering we've had actually some takeovers in the last year in these sectors. And this one's been talked about for a long time. And I mean, the short interest is higher, which has made it rally there too. I had it on at one time, and I should have, stuck it in the long-term invest portfolio, so I wasn't looking at it. Because remember, we were talking about it, and it looked like it was ready to start squeezing some shorts back at 40. And I ended up buying it, and I ended up selling it out at like 42, taking 2 points. Worst 2-point gain I could have taken. Don't ever let them tell you can't go wrong taking a profit. You can go very wrong taking a profit. If you take your profits all too soon and you let your winners or you let your losers hold on to those, you're going to end up with a losing portfolio, and you're probably going to end up losing money in the long run. So you've sometimes got to hold on to those winners, especially. I think that's the worst thing some traders do, is take the profits way too quickly. And I had this in the wrong account. I had it in a day trading account. I was like, I won't look at it. Of course I'm going to look at it. Stuck in my day trading account. It's right in front of me. Of course I'm going to look at it. Of course I'm going to trade it. The only way I've held stocks for significant gains, like from a swing trading or a long-term investing perspective, is to not have it sitting in front of me so I can easily trade out of it. So I always stick them in my longer-term portfolio when I've got these, longer-term calls. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. But wow, I tell you, if I would have stuck this in a long-term invest portfolio, I probably would still have some shares. And I'd be up a lot more money.
Big pop here on the initial headline news, 59.97. We have backed off there, just settling in here. Quiet consolidation here at 55 even in the pre-market. That's still up 440. So hard without a price, to be, showing. If you've had this opportunity and you've been in this stock since it made that low under $40, use targets or a trailing stop. The only thing I just want to point out on this one is consolidation periods. It's when stocks are making new highs or new lows. It's important to take note. But after that bump up from 40, you had a trading range basically from 45 to 48 for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then once it broke out on that day. So pay attention to consolidation periods as well and how they were resolved, because there's news and there's rumors that affect things, but obviously the breakout of that consolidation was very bullish and major support. If you come back down under $50, I don't think we'll see that today with the rumors out there.
Let's keep with the ratings here for just a couple minutes here. You got Deutsche Bank's all kinds of notes here today, but I want to just go to this specific note here where they're upgrading Walmart and downgrading Kroger.
Yeah, this is the big note of the morning, I think. I love me a good pair trade, and we got one this morning. Deutsche Bank upgrading Walmart from hold to buy and raising their price target from 89 to 113. At the same time, they are downgrading Kroger to sell and lowering their price target from 30 to 24. So buy Walmart, sell Kroger.
And you're seeing Walmart trade up 75 cents in the pre-market, and you're seeing Kroger get the beats down 2.5%. Again, food stocks back in favor. I'm more inclined to buy Kroger as opposed to sell Walmart short. So even though actually I do have a little bit of day trading Walmart short, but that's going to be covered here today. So it's funny. I say I'm more inclined, but I actually had this one on overnight, so I'm just on the wrong side of it. So I'm just bad. It's bad luck is what it is. But anyways, let's talk Kroger here, Joel. Okay. It's getting a pullback here. Food stocks back in favor. I think it's an opportunity.
Yeah, down 76 cents here, 28.69. And let's see, you got some lows in the 28 handle, lower 28 handle. That would be, I see a 28.37 and 28.43. So opening decent support here. The low of the move is way down at 27.52. So if you're looking for cover or you're looking for some kind of stop on that, keep an eye on the low of the move. Major resistance. This thing put it in a triple top yesterday at the 29.40 area. Looking at Walmart, and this has just been like a slow leak and painful leak since it made that big move off earnings, getting a pop here, trading up 75 cents at 95.44, opening into resistance, pair of highs, 95.54 and 95.61. So there you go, opening right into resistance.
Mylan Labs, MYL, catching a downgrade at Morgan Stanley, and this one has fallen out of bed here. We are now making new lows on the generic drug maker MYL. Ooh. Down at $34 here. I'm trying to find this 35 has been huge for this for a long time. Go to the weeklies. Look in the last year. You got down here 34.72 back in November of 2017. And then you had multiple lows, 34.95, 35.12, 35.05. There's so many levels at 35. You're taking all that out here now. I think there's air to 30.
Let's take a look. Boy, this one is yeah, you had all those lows. You're going back to October of 2017. You had a 31.03 low. I bet you could find some more daily levels in between that. Just trading on the lows of the pre-market session, that's at 33.96. Not a ton of volume here, but definitely the market being down is not helping either.
Yeah, stock trading down here significantly to down $1.31. What about Teva? We haven't looked at that for a while. That's fallen off here too. That's hanging to a significant level. Joe, look at this 21 in Teva.
All right, let's take a look at Teva. I know this has gotten some. This is right back down in its low of the move.
That's important.
Yeah,
that's important that it holds 21.
Yep. Let me look for a low here. Yep. 2090, 2105. Those are some lows that you had in September. Also a 2102 low. So 34 cents from that area. Boy, this thing was hit. This is volatile stock, huh, Dennis? This is moves. Major resistance just above 22. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 highs. Let's call it 2220.
This market's starting to rally here a little bit, so it's got me distracted as we start to claw our way back again. Yep. So resilient there. Spencer, any other ratings? There was a ton of them. Is there anything that really jumped out? It's like, whoa.
Those were the big ones as far as ratings are concerned. There's, some downgrades based on some guidance headlines yesterday, but nothing super notable as far as new initiations are concerned, aside from the Tesla. Deutsche Bank did have one that caught my eye. They initiated a couple, I guess it's like the mobile names at buys. Twilio caught a buy from Deutsche Bank, $88 price target there. RNG, which is Ring Central, caught a buy, $105 price target there. Nothing else really there besides those.
These are trading up, but if the market rolls over, caution to the buyer because you do have a rating change that's helping them, but these are all out of favor. These are all high momentum, high beta stocks that have been out of favor here for the last 4 or 5 days. Now you get a rating change helping a little lift. You got a lot of people caught, a lot of people underwater. So I'd just be cautious if I was chasing these on an upgrade or a buy rating.
It's funny that you mentioned these two stocks in unison like that because they're both Sean Udall favor, or they were. Actually, Ring Central, we started having Sean on like 4 or 5 years ago. And I think one of the first stocks he recommended on the show was Ring Central. And it was in the teens when he did that. I know he got off that train. Long time ago. I know he got out a long time ago. He says he sells too early too. And then Twilio, he was pounding the table. This thing had the IPO and then came all the way back down under $30. I know he loved it under there. I think he got out at like 55 or 60, and that kept on going. To me, I couldn't touch this Twilio long up here. There's just no way. This is opening up into resistance here. 70, 76, 89. There's that. Look at the step down seller here.
They all look broken.
Yeah,
all these charts look broken. So broken here now. Now you're coming in. Now you're going to buy these things. You're trying to call the bottom. And we talked with it. It's hard to call bottoms. Hard to do that. You're going to get lucky. You're going to do it every once in a while. But I tell you, it's hard to make money just playing, I'm going to be a bottom caller.
And a big gap. Maybe if Twilio fills that gap down to 63.59, I better get this off the screen before I short.
Sometimes it's the best thing you can do is like when you start getting stuff going, I better get this off the screen before I start trading. That is why I never bring Burke.A onto my screen. I don't even like to ever bring it up because what if I accidentally hit a buy button or something and pay where is it? I haven't looked. Burke.A, $333,000 a share. What was that? Like a keyboard error or something? I don't even like bringing it on my screen. I'm scared to death of that stock.
What's the spread in that usually? Like $4,000 or $5,000?
Oh yeah, crazy probably. I don't know. I don't even bring the Burke A up. I just trade the Burke B. I trade the Burke B almost every day. But there's guys that trade the Burke A against the Burke B. I don't know how to do it.
I know some guys that traded a lot, and it got really whacked. It blew out. I can't remember what it was, but and they just had to keep piling it on, and eventually it came in. But messing with a $330,000 stock, that's crazy. But
it's always scary.
Buying balances, Dennis, is that what's bringing?
No, there's no buying balances. So it's mostly sells. Well, there's a few. G has been hot, 310,000 to buy. Alibaba, 147,000 to sell. They just absolutely hate Alibaba right now. Square 67,000 to sell. That's significant, but we know Square's already down $3, so he knew he was going to have a big sell balance probably. Sprint 111,000 to sell. I don't know what's happening there. It just jumped out at me because I was looking at the 100,000s. Bank of America 55,000 to sell. They're pretty small, which is it's still early here yet. I'm not surprised because institutions don't want to show their hand this early. So they're hot. If you've got a big order, you got something to go and something you want to get rid of. You don't want to show it this early. Not in this market. You don't spook the market. So I'm not surprised that we're not seeing huge imbalances here.
I just want to talk just Bank America here for a second. I do have a very, very small long position in it. And all right, so you had the low at 29.27 and you had that quick sprint to 30.79. So we pulled back to 30. That's the 50, 29.91 was yesterday's low. 50% retracement of that move. I'm hoping that there's some good bank earnings on Friday here. So I kind of like it here in the lower 30s, not trading down that much today. So important to hold 30. You had a low at 30.05 and then yesterday's low 29.91. So if you're looking for stocks, look relative to yesterday's low. If they're holding up above yesterday's low, then perhaps a little bit, better chance of a rebound today in the day trade. But
I mean, with the TLT as weak as it is, it's supposed to be good for bank stocks. We just aren't seeing it, though. We just aren't seeing the strength that we should see.
Well,
that's the overall market. That's just risk off.
Yep. TLT has a double bottom, 112.62, 112.64 if you're looking for a swing trade here. But man, few down days, no green candles since 4 or 5 days ago. What was yesterday's high? Oh, we're opening up into a level here. Yesterday's high in TLT, 113.11. Keep an eye on that.
We got 2 minutes before our guests here. Only other thing I want to talk about was the hurricane trade, which we really didn't talk about yet. So maybe we can jump that in here in the next couple of minutes. We do have a hurricane brewing here. Spencer, details.
We have a category 2 in the Gulf of Mexico, Hurricane Michael. I'm not positive on when it's expected to make landfall as far as specific days are, but we tend to see this whenever there's a hurricane that's making waves. No pun intended. We do tend to see the Generacs, the Home Depots, the Lowe's start to rally.
And we are seeing a little bit, but it's also the market, weighing down. We see Generac up 50 cents here on the pre-market, so it's getting a little bit of a lift. It got a little bit of a lift yesterday as well. Home Depot also got a lift yesterday. Lowe's also got a little bit of a lift yesterday. So watch those stocks here today. If we see some follow through, maybe if you get a chance, if the overall market weakness gives you a little selling opportunity, sometimes, buying those stocks ahead of the hurricane works out well. So maybe if we get a little dip in some of those stocks, might be an opportunity today.
Well, of course, the media, monstrous Hurricane Michael.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fake news.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at the head. I don't even know what site this is. It's the first thing I pulled up, but they're, the media is getting there. Hopefully they're wrong. Aiming for Florida on Wednesday. So hopefully that will pass on by. All right, Spencer, you got a new guest for us today. Nick's doing some traveling. So
I got a new guest. Danielle Shay is her name. She's the director of options trading at Simpler Trading. I'm very interested to hear from her because she only started trading like 5 or 6 years ago. So she essentially grew up as far as trading is concerned in this bull market. And I want to talk to her about sort of how that has impacted her trading style and what she trades. So we'll talk to Danielle about this in a moment, but we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone, to Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, and Dennis Dick, now joined by Danielle. Shay Gum, she is the Director of Options Trading at Simpler Trading. Danielle, how's it going this morning?
It's going great. How about yourself?
It's going. First of all, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Austin, Texas today.
Austin, Texas. We haven't gotten out there yet, Joel, but maybe one day.
Yeah,
we
I hear
will.
it's I hear it's almost as good a town as Ann Arbor.
Oh, everything is almost as good a town as Ann Arbor.
Well,
anyway.
You had a good time on Saturday, so
Yes, I did. So Danielle, I was reading about your background on the Simpler Trading site. Tell us how you kind of got started, in this weird world.
It's a crazy story. My father actually has traded options for 20, 30 years or so. Well, investor before and then turned options trader. And I was actually living in Costa Rica and I was teaching English, and I moved back to the States as a single mother, and I needed a new career path. And, the path that I had just did not really work out for me. So my dad said, you know what you need to do? You need to learn options trading from this guy named John Carter. And that was how it began.
do you have a math background real quickly? That are you strong in math? Because there's a lot of math and options. I know it's all calculated for you. I just wondered if you had a strong math background.
I actually don't. And the background that I really have is in languages. So I like to think of really just reading the charts and learning about trading as a different language. And I have a really strong background as a teacher. So after I ended up meeting, I had learned from John for about 2 or 3 years. And then I ended up meeting him at a trading event in Vegas. And really what my teaching background was how we kind of started to mesh ways because he was in need of someone to really teach beginners. So
okay,
I just look at it as a language.
So talk to us about sort of, you become interested in options, you start, learning about, how they work. Tell us a little bit about your strategy and sort of how it's developed over the years.
So, it's interesting because I never traded in the markets as a long-term investor or anything like that. I jumped straight into aggressive directional options trading because that is what John does. And so immediately, that was what really piqued my interest. And over the years, I have just focused on honing a strategy that is focusing on trading the top weighted products in the top sectors in an aggressive manner on a really short-term basis. So that's really what I do now.
Danielle, I got a quick question for you. Everyone, especially new traders and stuff, you're always learning, right? Do you have like one trade early in your career that you just that you just got smoked on and you were just like, man, I'm never going to do that again? Did you have that kind of watershed moment, or you've been able to avoid that?
Yeah, absolutely. I did. So when I first started out trading, I was really conservative. I wanted to hold on to the money that I had, of course, and learning from John. He's always buying long calls. But what I did my first probably 2 years of trading was just selling out of the money puts, right? So just selling Delta 20, Delta 30s. And of course it works 9 times out of 10. But there was one time about 2 years into my trading career where I basically lost, 4 months worth of work in one weekend on that strategy. And ever since then, I really just stick to selling at the money premium, 1-to-1 risk reward situations or better.
Danielle, we've got a lot of new traders here listening to this show. So what for you, what was sort of the hardest thing, the hardest concept to grasp, or the hardest thing to get good at as far as trading options?
So honestly, for me, the hardest part was the math. Most people come into this industry, I feel like, having a strong math or science background, but I did not. I have a really strong language and literary background. So the math part to me was difficult, but what I did was I just focused on the patterns. So I focused on learning the patterns, looking for repetition, and, doing what works and avoiding what doesn't work, and just by having a really strong discipline in trying to figure out what doesn't work and what I was personally good at. That was how I found my success earlier on.
Do you have like a stable of stocks that you go to 10, 15, 20 stocks that you're always in looking for patterns, or more do you like the market to create the stocks for you to trade news or earnings related things like that?
Yeah, so primarily I call them the 5 stars. Those are the same ones that I really trade over and over again. This is really a combination of a trend follow plus Fibonacci. I'm really into Fib clusters, which I studied under Carolyn Borodin, the Fibonacci queen. So I really like a combination of momentum plays with the trend, with Fib, and that's really my 5-star setup. And I always like to enter on a pullback in a conservative manner. So, John, my primary mentor, he's really more of a momentum trader, but
give them to us. What are those 5 stocks?
So this year it's been Amazon, Microsoft, Adobe, Visa, MasterCard, Nike. Right now I have 27 on the list. I kind of rotate them in and out. If they break the 50 period simple, then I usually axe it off the list. But these are the ones that I really trade on an aggressive basis, especially going into earnings reports. So this is my favorite season typically. So right now I'm really looking for pullback buys on these names going into their earnings reports.
Now, did you just say if they break the 50-day moving average, you take them off your list?
Yeah, for the short term until they can recover that area. And, of course, this week it has been a lot of these names have broken the 50 period. A lot of the names that I look at have broken the 50 period. So I'm in a little bit of a wait and see mode right now, but I do like the oversold situation in a lot of these primary tickers, and I'm still looking to buy them going into earnings.
So you don't play the short side? Like if you're using that 50-day, they break instead of not buying them, being a two-way trader, do you do any put buying or selling of call spreads, or sell calls outright?
Honestly, I don't. I just look for the strength in the market, the rotating strength, depending on where it is. Last year I traded a lot of the industrials and financials going into the last quarter of the year. But then, with the shift and the correction in February, during that time period, I'll trade futures. If I want to short something, okay, I will trade NASDAQ, S&P, Dow futures. But I really don't play these strong names up and down. I just wait for the pullbacks, and then I load up on the pullback and trade it to the upside.
What kind of time horizon are we talking about here?
Generally anywhere between 2 days and about 2 or 3 weeks, just depending on how quickly the setup plays out.
And so with earnings season coming up, this is sort of like your favorite time right at the quarter, I would imagine, as you said. Is there anything you're doing, differently in maybe this week, last week, this week, next week to sort of prepare and get yourself ready for the busiest time of the quarter?
Yes, absolutely. So I like to, start about 6 weeks prior to earnings season. And there's a couple others as well, such as, CRM, Square, a couple of these others that I also like to play. I'm looking to play AMD this quarter too. But what I like to do is I start about 6 weeks with my research prior to earnings. And then I look to identify strong tickers and strong sectors that have a pattern of trending higher into their earnings report. And then I start off buying on a pullback really around 34 EMA, 50 period simple, somewhere in that area, depending on where I have my Fib clusters. And then I look to buy both in the money and out of the money options in the earnings series so that you can really maximize on that price increase as well as IV increase going into the earnings report. So that's, 4 times a year, that's generally one of my most profitable times of the year as a directional trader. So I look very much forward to it.
Tell us a little bit about sort of how your day breaks down in terms of like the hours spent and when you're doing what.
Absolutely. So At Simpler Trading, I mean, we're running a trading room all day throughout market hours. My segment is market close, so from 2 to 3 Central. I'm always online posting trades, keeping up with our members and whatnot and doing my analysis. The morning, Henry Gamble, our vice president, you've had him on a couple times, I believe. He always does the market open. So I always start my morning with a little bit of analysis from Henry, do a lot of research. Midday, usually take a break, got to tame the trade monster, and then get back and knock it out into the close.
So you're trading during market hours, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always at my screens, except for I like to take that hour-long lunch break. You really need to take a break to
Sure.
You're not trading too much.
And one thing that I really wanted to ask you was you started trading around 2013. This is something that we talk about a lot on our show, is just, the fact that for a lot of newer traders who started, maybe after the financial crisis, we've essentially been in a raging bull market for close to a decade here. I'm wondering how you think that sort of affected, your trading in any way.
Oh, well, it's absolutely affected my trading. And people ask me that a lot. And I have 2 answers to it. I mean, first of all, it has really defined what I'm good at, right? Because growing up in the bull market, I've been able to get really good at trading options aggressively to the upside. So I think that is a blessing in and of itself, because that's why I fell in love with trading to begin with. So I love that. And then the second part of your question is always, oh, okay, so what are you going to do when the market turns?
Exactly.
Right. Our members ask me that all the time. And really, I don't have a great answer to it beyond the fact that, I have a lot of confidence in my technical analysis skills, and as well as the trading team that I work with and all of our members. And I'm sure that I'll be able to figure it out. So I've heard it's a lot more fun to trade a bear market, though I wouldn't know myself.
Yeah, well, if we ever get one again, maybe you'll find out. Last one here, and then I'll let you go. But is there sort of one piece of advice you have for new traders? Like I mentioned, we have a lot of listening to our show and in our chat rooms. What's like sort of your best piece of advice you got?
The best piece of advice I got is to stick with it, because I started this really out of necessity. I wanted to be able to make money from home and take care of my son, who was a newborn at the time. But I fell in love with it. And at this point in my life, I can't imagine doing anything else. And being able to make money on the side, regardless of what kind of job you have, is an amazing thing. And the beginning can be pretty rough, but if you can stick with it, find good mentors, people who know what they're talking about, you can make it through. So.
All right. And on that note, we've been on the line with Danielle Shay, Director of Options Trading at Simpler Trading. Danielle, thanks so much for joining us today, and have a good one.
Thank you so much for having me. Have an excellent rest of your day.
You too, Danielle. All right, 8:49, Joel, where are we at in the S&Ps this morning?
We're battling back. We're down only 12 handles at 28, 81, 75. What I'd like to look for now is mid-range on the session. You guys probably get tired of hearing me talking about 50% retracements, but seem to be valid over the years. That comes in at 28.84 and a quarter. We'll be keeping an eye on that. The all important double close at 28.93.75 and 28.94. So a couple big levels. I don't know, maybe get an inside day here, a little bit of digestion, and maybe go up tomorrow here. But keep your eye 28.84 and a quarter.
Stock we haven't talked about here today is PPG. They warned last night, and this is hitting everything to do with painting. It's hitting a lot of industrials here too. Let's Spencer give us the details. We'll break down the sympathy trades because there's a lot going on around PPG this morning.
Yep, as you mentioned, they warned for their guidance after the bell yesterday. They gave Q3 guidance numbers that were lower than the estimate, $1.41 to $1.45 is the range that they gave. $1.59 was the estimate. Their sales guidance coming in at around $3.8 billion for Q3. The Q4 guidance was $1.03 to $1.13. That was for the Q4 EPS, so that's okay there, but the Q3 guidance was revised downward. They're continuing to see significant raw material and elevating logistics cost inflation, including the effects from higher resin and increasing oil prices. So they're seeing some negative headwinds, or I guess headwinds of any kind for the Q3.
So the stock is a mess itself. Joel, quick technicals, then I want to talk sympathy.
PPG here, trading down $9.81. You did have a pair of monthly lows in the $100 handle, 10036, 10087. You are taking that out right now. So I don't know. Need to get back above those levels. And
$100.
Yeah, $100 is big here.
Need to get above 100 to really start mounting some comeback here. But there's a lot of stocks that are getting killed in sympathy here. Let's look at Sherwin-Williams, SHW. It's down 10 points thanks to PPG. Trading at 420. Actually, it's not even. It's down more than that. 432 is last. It's offered at 425. It traded that. Is that right? Somebody messed up here this morning. This thing's traded 325 this morning.
325. Yeah.
Whoever sold that should be calling the exchange right now, trying to bust those shares. Yeah. That trade 325.01 at 756. Somebody hit this 120 points lower. They could probably get those trades busted because that'll be outside the pre-market trading range. I think it's 20%. So, and that would be 442, 120. Yeah, that would be more than 20%. So if you were the person that sold 325.01 here this morning, I would be calling your broker and trying to get them to call the exchange to try to bust that. Maybe that was a keystroke error. I'm not sure what it is, but guys, don't hit a stock down 120 points in the pre-market. Hopefully they'll bust those trades for those people, but this thing traded 325.01 here this morning. Show those trades on the chart. That's insane. Anyways, it's back up here. It's 415 to 425 here right now. That sounds better. Like I'm thinking that's the range it's going to probably open in, is around 420. So it is going to open down 20 points. It's not going to open down 120 points though. That is crazy.
Just high price stock. I just have no interest in trading, stocks even over $100. I mean,
the spreads are so damn wide.
Yeah.
SHW we're talking. Sorry, I don't know if we mentioned the symbol. Yeah. Sherwin-Williams. This is SHW.
Yeah.
Trade down 100. There was some stock that trade down there too. If I look here, it was all at the same time. It looks like somebody just like hit from 420. Maybe they're trying to hit 420. They accidentally put 320 because they were 100 traded at. Well, it looks like odd lots all the way down, just swept out everything in the book. There's nothing in there. 325.01, 100, 200. Looks like 1,000 shares traded at 325.01. 1,000 times 120. What the hell is that? What are we talking about? Are you talking about 100? Somebody throwing away 120 grand?
Exactly. Wow. Okay.
That's $120,000 boo-boo is what that is, because this thing's probably going to open up 415 to 420. So somebody threw away $120,000 there on 1,000 shares. So if you're that person, I'd be calling the exchange. You probably could get that busted. Why is the Qs? How in the hell are the Qs only down points? How in the hell are the Qs flat? What is up?
We are rallying. I don't know what happened.
We rallied hard here, but I'm struggling. And I mean struggling to try to find stocks that are trading in the green. I got Apple trading way down. I got Microsoft trading down. You've got, there is not a lot trading in the green. So we're seeing a repeat of yesterday where this market went flat and was a great opportunity just to sell. Because we ended up selling after the first 5 minutes. We ended up selling off hard after that. I have no idea what is even trading higher here. I mean, okay, Amazon is still down $7. Netflix is still down $3 here, trying to claw its way back. Square is still down $2.50 here, or $2. I mean, I'm unbelievable that the Qs are trying to go green here.
I see Oracle
this
up.
U.S. market is just so resilient.
I see Oracle up. I see IBM up. Microsoft.
2 cents.
Microsoft, I think you said. Hey, I'm just looking for the green on the screen, man.
Down.
I'm looking for the green on the screen.
Down. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. People aren't looking at the internals when they're buying the Qs up flat here right now, in my opinion. Unless these stocks are going to all start storming back. Maybe they are. But, I mean, from what I'm seeing here, it still looks like a tech wreck out there, and the Qs are trading flat. That is unbelievable. Was something said? Somebody say something? Or Qs are green?
I don't know. Well, Brentster just stepped away from the desk here.
Throw arbitrage out the window. It doesn't even matter anymore. So I cannot believe here. I cannot even believe that the Qs are trading green here on this day. But anyways, it is what it is. So they're green.
Someone asked about a handle and a point, and I talk about that a lot in the S&Ps, and it's $50. One handle is, so if you go from 28.85 to 28.86 per one contract, that's $50 per contract, and then obviously 10 lots and the multiplier effect. But just wanted to clarify the term handle. All right, 8:57 here, Dennis. We've covered ratings, very slow earnings.
I've got a million trades going on.
We had one
shorts all over the place here right now.
Go.
I have orders sitting out there. So you know what? I got 3 minutes here. Just I've got to go. I've got to trade here because there's too much action here. I'm sorry, guys. So I try to do as best I can, but we're not people who are just on the media commentary and are not trading. We're traders too. So Joel and Spencer are going to finish this up because I'm just getting littered with shorts right now.
All right, Joel, we had been asked about PYX, and this came up on the pre-market show as well. This is another one of those pot plays. As far as what they do, it doesn't matter what they do, but they operate. They're a tobacco company. They have some cannabis exposure, and of course, we're going to get legalization here in Canada in like a week or so. But it doesn't matter what they do; they're a pot stock.
Okay. Nowhere near an all-time high here. Really, the only reference I can give on when stocks like this, there's something going on here, right at 47. Let's call 47 resistance because I'm looking at
PYX.
PYX.
Okay.
Why?
What chart are you looking at? Like what is it a monthly? What? Okay.
What do you have it at?
Well, right now I had it at close at 38, but I was trying to find the level. So you're going all the way back to the monthly.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Spencer.
All the way back.
Yeah. Well, first we'll go short term here, and someone has an opinion of $47. So I don't know if it's an institution, someone that's buying the last few days. So keep an eye on 47. We bust through 47 here. More upside. You can use a nice round number like 50 if it gets in there. But here are your levels. 47, you had a monthly high at 48.30. And that was in November of 2010. If things really get going to the upside, there's a pair of highs over 54, 54.20, 54.50. Do not really participate in stocks like this. If you're long, if you have a target on the upside, take it or take a partial because it's going straight up now. But when these things turn, you're selling into a down market. So first things first, let's take out 47 in PYX.
Just be safe with these guys because these high flyers, you don't know. You just don't know. We had also a question in the chat about Amazon. We've talked about tech here this morning, but let's just look at the Amazon chart.
Another stock at 1100, or no, wait, here we are, 1860. Very, very hard stocks to trade, very wide spreads. But let's see if we can break this losing streak here. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down days in a row since the 2012 close, 2012.98. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lower lows in a low, and the same with the lower highs. So the 1902, that would be a good target on the upside. That's $39 away. The close from Friday, I'd use that as another point at 1889.65. As far as the downside goes here, keep an eye out for yesterday's low, a big component in the S&P. So see if that 1836.30.66 low coincides with the S&P low from yesterday at 28.66. But the way we're rallying now, I don't know if we're gonna see it.
All right, that's going to do it for our show today. On tomorrow's show, we'll be joined by Ivan Feinseth, the CIO of Tigris Financial Partners. Ivan is very good, very convincing on his arguments. We had him on like a year or so ago. We had a debate on Herbalife, and I came into that debate, and I was neutral. I was the neutral third party, but I was pretty bearish, and he turned me around. Not that I did anything about it, but he's very convincing on his arguments. I'll give him that. So Ivan will join us tomorrow at 8:35. But if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch our podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Google Play, or just go to youtube.com/BenzingaTV and rewatch the show there. For those of you on the West Coast, or you want to go out to San Francisco in the next few weeks or so, the Benzinga FinTech Summit is November 14th in San Francisco. You'll be able to hear from the biggest names in the brokerage and payment space: TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, Ripple will be there, the co-founder of Venmo. If you go to bzsummit.com, enter the promo code PMPVIP, as in pre-market prep, very important person, you will get a free ticket to the Benzinga FinTech Summit. So bzsummit.com, promo code PMPVIP. And also, I just saw it mentioned in the chat here, Benzinga Pro. It is our real-time news platform with real-time headlines, real-time SEC filings and press releases. We have an audio squawk. We have chat rooms. We have real-time quotes. If you go to pro.benzinga.com, enter the promo code AMPRO, that's Alpha Mary Papa Romeo October, AMPRO, you'll get 25% off a Benzinga Pro subscription. That's good till the end of the month, pro.benzinga.com. And on that note, that'll do it for our show today. So everyone have a good day, and hope you join us again on Wednesday.